Well, our first stop-off point is a site I know very well because I worked here for over 25 years. This used to be the Shropshire Star site at Ketley in Telford, and Liz Lowe, Head of Development at Morris Property. Everybody knew this site, didn't they?
They did indeed. It's been up since the 60s, purpose-built specifically for the Shropshire Star, and quite an iconic building. Unfortunately, it was so bespoke that there was no alternative use for the existing building itself, hence why we had to take the decision to have it demolished.
Give us a few numbers here, because it's only when you actually demolish the site you realise just how big the plot is.
Yeah, it's about 5.2 acres. The building itself was about 75,000 square feet, and it's naturally subdivided by a public footpath that runs through the site.
Does all of that limit the opportunities for what you can do with this site then, or is it a fairly blank canvas?
It's a fairly blank canvas, to be quite honest with you. Our designs that we've proposed to the local authority include the existing footpath in its current position, so we just take those restrictions into account when we're designing the future site layout.
And acquiring this site, did you acquire it knowing that there was interest in maybe doing something with it, or did you acquire it sort of fairly speculatively and then take it to market? Then how does it work?
Well, we kind of know what's around in the market in terms of requirements, and we also sort of identified the location for a specific use, and approached the potential end user for that and got a thumbs up. So ultimately that gave us a lot of confidence to go forward with the acquisition, but effectively it is speculative.
So what are the plans here? I know, planning consent is yet to be completely confirmed, isn't it? But where are we at?
Well, we've just completed our pre-app with Telford and Wrekin Council, and they've responded positively to our proposal, which is good news. As I said, we've tried to retain this as employment land, so it'll be a mixed retail and commercial development going forward.
So that's an opportunity, because I imagine, there have been residential interest in this, given the number of houses that are being built in and around the area as well, wouldn't there?
Absolutely, but again, with the number of houses that are being built around here, there needs to be employment opportunities, especially for youngsters as well, and a couple of the end occupiers we're talking to have very positive apprenticeship schemes and flexible working times for people of the local community as well, so hopefully it will be well received, and assuming we get planning for it.
And I know this is sort of how long's a ball of string, and there's lots of crystal ball elements to this, but how soon could we actually see things happening on this site then?
Well, our intention is to get a planning application in by the end of September, and hopefully with Telford and Wrekin being quite proactive in their planning determination, we would like to think we have a planning determination by the end of the year. Hopefully.
Qualified, yeah, absolutely. What's the climate like at the moment? We're reading almost on a daily basis at the moment about how tough the economy is, how difficult people are finding to get everything under control. How does that feed down for things like this?
Well, it does have a significant impact, as you can imagine. There are increasing pressures in terms of finance, development finance, cost rises, cost inflation over the last 12 months has been unbelievable, being blunt, and has put a lot of schemes at risk. However, there is still pent-up demand in the marketplace for specific sectors, and ultimately we have a very slow planning process, so the principles of supply and demand are there. The supply just isn't at the moment, so we do think we've got a very good chance of having this tied up by the new year.
Now, we're going to be going on a little bit of a roadshow around Telford, aren't we, this morning? So just give us an idea about how many different sites and developments you've got in and around Telford and Wrekin at the moment.
Okay, well, you probably see the Morris Property signs up a lot, and there's a mix between our construction side, who build for third parties, and then our own sites that we've developed. So we've acquired the sites, proceeded with planning, and then built them out.
So where are we off to next then? Tell us about that.
Well, we're off to Hadley Park. We have a development of 52,000 square feet of small starter units that we've both sold and retained a block for our own portfolio.
Let's go and have a look. Bring your brolly. Okay. So from a site which was a bit of a blank canvas, Liz, at Ketley, we come to Access 442, which is 100% occupied, is that right?
It is 100% occupied, yes. This was a site that we acquired off Telford and Wrekin Council. We secured planning and we have built 26 units, all of which are occupied, I'm pleased to say. We've either sold them or we've let them and retained them within our own investment portfolio.
So how far back do we go then? Where does the Access 442 story start?
It goes back to about 2018. Unfortunately, we hit COVID halfway through construction, which delayed us slightly in bringing it forward, but we were lucky enough to actually sell a lot of these units off plan and to owner-occupiers nearby that have expanded, such as Telford Graphics behind us, who had relocated from just over the road.
And Access 442, named presumably because of its convenience access to the road.
Absolutely, keep it simple. It was directly on the A442 and just worked perfectly as quite a nice title for the estate.
Had you already got then quite a few companies that were interested in this before COVID, and then everything sort of timeline shifted, and then did it all come good, as you'd hoped, but just with a different bit of a delay, really?
Well, we'd identified a gap in the market for smaller units, so we did build this out speculatively. But of course, as soon as you get planning, you start talking to occupiers, because once you've got planning, you've got a timeline then which you can give occupiers, because you know how long the construction period is going to take.
So you've got a mix on here then really of new companies that have expanded from previous Telford bases, companies that are coming from outside the town as well?
Yeah, I mean basically it's quite a mix. There's quite a few occupiers that wanted to buy their own property, so they'd been renting from other landlords or Telford and Wrekin Council. And we've also had those that have expanded, so they wanted to have a new premises rather than older stock that was around Telford at the time. And then we've had new companies move in, such as James Hargreaves, who've just expanded into the area.
The north of Telford has seen a particularly busy time, hasn't it, for new development, business development over the last 5-6 years?
Yeah, well, I think with Telford and Wrekin pump priming Horton Wood effectively just behind us, this was traditionally agricultural land, and so in the last 5 to 6 years, it's really expanded, mainly due to the pent-up demand in the local marketplace.
What sort of size units have we got here then? What would be the largest, the smallest?
So effectively we started units at 1,500 square feet, and then we went up to about 15.5. However, probably the largest unit from a single occupier is about 8,000 square feet.
I guess part of the beauty of a site like this is it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, and you can break things up, you can move things around.
Absolutely. We built it with maximum flexibility so that we could adapt to occupiers' demands as and when they came along.
Shall we go and have a wander?
Indeed.
So Liz, give us a few names then of some of the companies we've got here.
Okay, we've got Architectural Aluminium, Heaven, Absolute Collagen, Motus, and we have Universal Pack as well that make the little sachets for your tomato ketchup and HP sauce.
So proper variety. And
Indeed, yeah.
And we've got a local plumber here who's going to talk to us, haven't we?
Absolutely. James Hargreave have moved in earlier this year.
Let's go and have a look at him.
Okay.
So we found Russell Pengelly here from James Hargreaves. Tell us a bit about the business here and why you came and how it's going.
Well, we're a plumbing and heating merchants. We basically started up north and we're expanding throughout the UK. I rang them up and asked them if they wanted a branch in Telford, and they came down, interviewed me and said yes, if you can find the right premises. We came down here, we found this premises. It's got brilliant access to everywhere in Telford, plus easy access to the motorway, which is great for us. As you can see, it's very well kept and looked after. It's locked at night, which is good for us. It's got security cameras, which is brilliant. The main road there, which is like a traffic jam at night, people can see across to the showroom. So we thought we'd set up, give it a go, and so far it's going in the right direction.
How long have you been here for now then?
We more or less set up last October, but we started trading in January. So we're in our first year, and so far we're doing quite well. And the guys seem to have already figured out where we are. The postcode's been a little bit of a problem because it doesn't bring them here, but eventually it will. And the guys finding out where we are. There's lovely facilities at the end, nice pub at the end. There's the Greg's there. So the lads can grab hold of a butty, come in and use our coffee machine, buy the stuff. So it's all working well for us at the moment.
So you'd summarise by saying you reckon you made the right choice coming here then?
Definitely the right choice. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best location in Telford for a plumbers merchant. So we're happy.
Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
So we've come across the other side of the A442 now to Paragon Point, and this is a slightly different kind of development, isn't it, for Morris?
Yeah, this showcases our sort of development arm effectively, whereby we acquired the site, built out a 37,000 square foot unit, let it to CEL and then sold it as an investment, because we're always on the lookout for more land locally. We try and employ local subcontractors where we can. We have a local team, and in fact on Hortonwood West, where we're located, Morris Property have actually built most of the buildings here with the exception of Kramer.
And in all seriousness, the amount of jobs that this does create for the local building industry is not insignificant, is it?
No, absolutely. And as I said, we try and retain and use local subcontractors, professional teams that are Shropshire based, so we do try and keep it local.
So is there much left to develop still at Hortonwood in this area?
At Hortonwood West, no, but at Hortonwood there are a couple more plots that the council have to dispose of.
Well, let's finish our trip now by going to Hortonwood 45, where I know there's lots of possibilities there, isn't there?
Indeed, that's our latest site that we've acquired.
And it's over there and the sun's shining, so we're going the right way.
Let's go before it rains.
Let's go. So for the final stop on our journey, we're at Hortonwood 45, thankfully in the beautiful Shropshire sunshine now. And as we can see from the sign behind us, this is the next chapter really, isn't it?
It is. This is our latest acquisition. We work very closely with Andrew Dixon, who's a local commercial agent. We've acquired the site with the benefit of planning permission for a 140,000 square foot unit, and we're currently marketing it with review to securing a tenant, with construction due to start in mid-August.
And how long does something like that take to actually come about? How long have you been talking about something, a proposal like this?
Well, we're talking to a couple of prospective tenants at the moment, but needless to say, it's the holiday season, so of course it's taking a little bit of time to get some decisions, but we hope to have a decision by the end of August and be able to release some news as to who we will be progressing with.
We talked a bit earlier, didn't we, about the importance of providing local jobs for contractors with a lot of the construction work, but working with local agents as well is another key part of what you do, isn't it?
Absolutely, building up local relationships with all the key commercial agents in Telford and Shrewsbury has been paramount to our success. They provide an integral part of the process, and obviously we work within the West Midlands as well to a greater extent.
And is one of the nicest parts of the job the relationships that you maybe build up with not just these people but also some of the companies that end up moving into the unit?
It is, because effectively if you're looking at a site without planning, you're probably starting a 2-year process and conversation, so you develop those relationships with the managing directors and finance directors over that period of time, and sometimes it's quite sad when a project actually comes to an end, but we have a very good local reputation and we work very closely with both professionals, agents and end occupiers.
And the good thing is, because you've got so many different projects on the go at the same time that are all of a different stage, I guess every week's slightly different in your world, isn't it?
No one day is the same, so you never know what you're going to wake up to and what's coming in that day, but it's part of what makes development exciting.
Well, thank you for taking us on a tour of Telford, and I knew that if we kept moving around often enough, the sun would come out eventually, which is
eventually.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.